Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo, and this is News and Week in Review, where I dive into a variety of news pieces, the games of the week, the videos I've played, the videos of the week, the games I've played, all of that and more. Links and timestamps to everything down below. Let's go and start off with the news. Although I guess first, let's go and start off with Allplay is a channel sponsor. If you're not familiar with Allplay, you can go to allplay.com and you can get anything from the shelves you see behind me to some of the various games you'll see on the shelves at different points to a bunch of partner publisher games as well. And speaking of which, you can get their publisher partners games as well as their own games for $4 flat rate shipping if you are in the US. Check out allplay.com for a variety of your gaming needs. With that, let's dive into the news of the week. The news starting off, we have Carcassonne Labyrinth, which has me intrigued. Not a combo I necessarily would have thought I would have seen, but it does have me interested. I think I would like it more than Labyrinth, less than Carcassonne. That's my gut instinct from seeing this. It's Labyrinth with like sliding tiles, but with the Carcassonne sliding tiles, and I don't know if that would be chaotic, more strategic. I think it would be chaotic, but hey, I reserve the right to pass judgment once I actually play it, as opposed to right now where it's purely judging a book by its cover. Then we have over here, we have Garphill Games announcing the next lineup of games. We have The Great Sea as well as The Towers of Sifnos, two games in their Ancient Anthology series, which has me intrigued. Have I played anything from the Ancient Anthology series? I guess I played Hadrian's Wall. I think that's the Ancient Anthology series. But I want to play a bunch of them, but I'm more intrigued by them than the whole Kingdom series and all that stuff. But I'm always intrigued by Garphill games, and never really sure which ones will land with me. We have Pirates of Maracaibo Bermuda Triangle, which I may have mentioned already, I don't recall. But in case I didn't, Pirates of Maracaibo Bermuda Triangle, the new expansion of Pirates of Maracaibo. You can check this one out. The waters of the Bermuda Triangle are feared because storms make navigation impossible. It features a treasure hunt module in which you compete against a race each other to find the biggest treasure, as well as new improvement cards you can mix into the base game, and a new card for a solo mode, which I don't care about that. I don't play it solo. But I do like Pirates of Maracaibo quite a bit, although quite a bit. I like Pirates of Maracaibo so much, it's crazy. I have finally played Maracaibo. I need to play Maracaibo more because I'm not quite sure where my opinion lands, but for right now, Pirates of Maracaibo is the clear winner for me. And then lastly in news, I'm going to briefly talk about Sam Healey and the Dice Tower. This is something that last week, I decided not to talk about last week because specifically, I am very mindful about talking about my peers. It doesn't mean I won't do it when I need to for some reason or another, or if it becomes very obvious news, but I'm very mindful about how to talk to my peers in a way that is fair and equitable. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with this. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I should just as mindful when I talk about anything. But I think specifically when I'm talking about other content creators in the space, especially if it can drift negative, I try to be very careful about how I approach it. And the problem with the Sam Healey and Dice Tower situation is I feel this could be an entire video in itself, which I'm not interested in doing an entire video on this because again, I will talk about news drama when I need to, so to speak, but talking about news drama when it's about my peers, again, something I tend to be very, very mindful of. But I think that the subject does deserve an entire video to an extent to catch you up. The very short version is that Sam Healey talked about, and the reason I am talking about it now is because there's the balance of not talking about your peers and the balance of avoiding news that you don't want to talk about, which is something that I have drifted into. Like, there have been times where I tried avoiding something because I just didn't want to stir the waters, but the problem is I do talk about things, so not talking about things becomes its own choice in a way, which ironically is part of the conversation here as well. But so I decided to talk about it because that balance of, as much as I don't want to avoid conversations either. So the very short version, and this is going to be a short version, you can check out the Board Game Wire if you want to see. I didn't love the Board Game Wire. In fact, the reason I moved away from that title over here is, and this is part of my issue with it. I feel this title, specifically here on this page, I feel this was trying to cram in as many words as possible to make this as catchy and dramatic as possible to pull in those views. Drama makes for good gossip. This, and covering it is one thing. This felt like, let's throw in every single word we can possibly do to make this as hot and juicy as possible to pull in those clicks, which to a certain extent is what we all do, to a certain extent. I think there's a balance as to how to do it properly, and I don't know if I always hit that balance, but that's why I found the Board Game Wire article headline distasteful. The article itself I think is actually pretty decent. The headline I did not like. But the very short version of this is Sam Healey over the Dice Tower on his personal Facebook page publicly defended how to put this? I'm trying to be very careful with my words again. Effectively said that Alex Peretti's actions were the cause of him being shot. By bringing a gun to a protest and then interfering with ICE operations. So, and I'm being very, you can search up the exact post and all that if you want to find the exact words, but the basic idea is he said that he was responsible for what happened through his actions. I hesitate to use the word victim blaming. That's a very charged term, but I do think there was a lot of responsibility for what happened placed on Alex Peretti, and very little to no responsibility placed on ICE. A term that I once heard, which I very much appreciated, is fault does not have to add up to 100%. It doesn't have to add. It can go above 100%. And the general context in which I've heard things like that, and I appreciate, is if you leave your car with the door open and the keys in the ignition in a dangerous neighborhood, and then the car gets stolen, you shouldn't have done that. That's absolutely true. It's also 100% the fault of the people that stole the car. If someone steals your car, they are 100% at fault. And you might be 10-15% at fault for making a bad decision. Blame does not have to add up to 100%. Fault does not have to add up to 100%. I have said in my videos about Alex Peretti, and again, I'm sorry that we're diving back into that. We're not talking about that. Now we're talking about board game news that relates to that. But I've said in my own videos about it that I understand any criticism of his decisions he made along the way, but if you focus on that as opposed to the person who stole the car, so to speak, then you're placing a lot of... You're kind of showing where your empathies lie and where your initial gut instincts lie. Either way, Sam Healey made the statement. That got him in a lot of hot water. Over on the Dice Tower crowdfunding campaign, which is running at the same time, people found the statement, started calling for him to be fired, for Dice Tower to make a statement, for all of those things. Dice Tower did not make a statement. They have said that they do not talk about politics, like it or not, and I understand if you don't like it. They have been very... They have basically said, we're not engaging. We're not talking about politics. We're not getting involved. Even in the Board Game Wire article, Tom said, I don't comment on, internal affairs of my employees and all that. But Sam publicly resigned, said he did so of his own choice, because the whole thing got very, very big very quickly and became pardon my French, a shitstorm. It escalated very, very quickly over on the Dice Tower campaign. That's kind of the news part of what happened. There's a lot to get into. Part of why, again, I didn't want to talk about this, I feel to do this conversation justice could be a 30-minute video in its own right to properly get into it. But there's a very short version of my own take. The very short version is I vehemently disagree with what Sam said. I also vehemently disagree with the people that were calling for him to be fired. I think that my personal, and if you want to go into it more, honestly, I'll link to it down below. There's a thread over on Board Game Geek. It's 20 pages. There's a lot to get into. I'm going to link to specifically page 18. Feel free to read whatever you want, but on page 18 is my kind of whole take on the situation, where I believe that Sam is wrong. I also believe that I don't believe he's acting out of malice. I believe he's acting out of his biases, which we all are, myself included. I think those biases are, in this case, producing a distasteful and possibly dangerous point of view, but I don't think the intent is dangerous or I don't think the intent is negative. I think the intent is just his worldview. Again, there's going to be people watching this who agree with that, and that's fine. My point here is not about whether it's right or wrong. My point here is I don't believe in going after people's jobs and livelihood for things that are not morally outrageous. Like, if it's not completely outrageous, I don't believe in going after people's jobs and livelihood. I think that I would not want to have someone calling for my, my employment to be terminated if I said something that was damaging, but my intent wasn't. If my intent was good, if my intent was fair, but the thing I said, and there's a whole conversation we can get into that's very complicated about where does the actual consequence of your thoughts matter and where does the intent of your thoughts matter. This is a long and complicated conversation. I do not have all the answers. I will admit that freely. But I just know that I wouldn't want to lose my job over being wrong. If I thought of myself as a good person, if I thought of myself as acting right, if I viewed something through my own biases and lens, I wouldn't want to lose my job over it. I had someone comment this week on my video being like, well, since I assume you're responsible for, the whole Sam getting fired thing, and I was like, dude, you are not aware of my point of view on this. I have my points of views. Again, I've said this consistently. I tend to land in the middle. I both think Sam is wrong, which some of you might think he's right, some of you might think he's wrong. And I also think that he shouldn't have lost his job over it. But again, this is me giving the short version of it. Because I didn't want to avoid talking about it, because I did want to avoid talking about it, but then didn't want to avoid talking about it. I am talking about it. You can get more info on my views on this if you read through, honestly, probably page 16 onwards. But page 18, I have a single long post that kind of fully encompasses my stance on this. I fully support the Dice Tower. I am a big fan of the channel, both professionally as well as personally. I understand there are people who are unhappy with them not taking a side, so to speak. I understand those people. I do. I understand anyone who wants Dice Tower to make a stance. I understand the conversation around, and again, I have dealt with this I've dealt with this a lot this past week and a half, whatever it is, where there's people who will be so upset at you for bringing politics into their hobby, and there's people who will be so upset that you view, like, the state of the world and human rights as politics, and you cannot make everyone happy, and I don't know if you should try to make everyone happy. I think to a certain extent you need to figure out what your own approach to things is in life, and you need to try to constantly weigh it up and measure what's right and what's not right. You don't just sit... It's hard bringing politics into a hobby, regardless. And by the way, I follow a lot of fitness people. I'm not that fit, but I did try to lose weight. I follow a lot of fitness people, and like there's a whole storm of there as well, as far as people bringing current events into that and making statements, and most people being pretty happy about that, but then a very, very vocal minority being like, why just stick to fitness, bro. And that's a common conversation these days. I think it's a common conversation whenever anything happens that's very charged in the world, and right now things are very charged in the world. Sometimes it happens domestically, sometimes it happens because of international things. I get the complexities. Overall, my point is, regardless right or wrong, I understand why Dice Tower has the stance of not speaking out on any politics, period, full stop. And I do not think Sam should have lost his job, even though I disagree with Sam. That's kind of my take on it. That's my coverage of the news. And again, I feel this deserved to be a much longer conversation. Anyways, with that, we're going to go ahead and talk about other things that are much lighter. So, videos of the week. Videos. We had top 10 disappointments going up on Sunday. These are the top 10 disappointment games I played in 2025. Not necessarily 2025 games, but just the games I played this year that, like, did not work for me. Or was it 15? I think it was 15. Top 15 disappointments. Then we have upcoming crowdfunding campaign for the month of February. That went up on Monday if you want to check out that. A bunch of campaigns that will be launching this month. Feel free to see which ones catch your interest. We had 17 more BoardGameArena reviews. This is a series I do. Why 17? Because the first one I did had 17 and now I'm just sticking with it. But basically every month and a half, 2 months, I'm going to be putting up a video of covering 17 BoardGameArena reviews. Quick thoughts on a variety of games. Most of them forgettable, some of them pretty fun and impressive. But if you want to see the newest installment number 3 in the series, that went up on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we had games being added and games leaving the collection. In this particular month, nothing kind of got added with some asterisks. You can watch the video, but a whole bunch of stuff passing through. Again, it's games added, leaving, and passing through. Passing through just being anything that I played, never decided to keep, and it's now moving on. And I go through all of those in my games leaving the collection video, which was this past Friday. As far as the games I covered this past week, we had a variety of things. We had 2 6 small box games series going up this week, so lots of games. We had Bombastic, Deep Dreams, Tiny Tina, Tricky Kids, Collect, and Last Minute in the first 6 games roundup. From all of those, Last Minute is pretty, I mean, they all have some degree of charm, but Last Minute I think was my favorite from those, probably. Collect is pretty decent, but I don't know if I need to hold on to it, but I'm happy to play it. Bombastic is pretty decent, but I don't need to hold on to it. And then Tricky Kids, though even Tricky Kids is decent, but it's just too many trick-taking games. And Tiny Tina and Deep Dreams were the least fun for me. We have Race to Kepler, a review for that, a 3.5 out of 5. Race to Kepler is a deck-building game that has some charm over games like Star Realms, but overall, it basically feels like Star Realms with some pros and cons. I overall enjoyed it, didn't love it, but I liked it. We had Wispwood, a review for Wispwood going up on the channel. I really enjoyed Wispwood. To be fair, I really enjoy that genre. I find whenever I play that genre, we have another one over here, Ghost Galore, but like whenever I play this genre of games of like grab a bunch of tiles, try to figure out how to optimize your score, I love that. I love it so much that in Ghost Galore, I invented a solo mode, because this game does not have a solo mode. It's a 2 to 5 player game, so we'll have a review for that coming, but I'll also have a solo mode that I invented that I'm still playtesting and going through, but so far I'm pretty happy with it. But I like those games. I like that genre. Wispwood I gave a 4.5 out of 5. I do wonder if it goes down. I always wonder like how well these hold up for me, specifically that genre, because I have so many that I enjoy, but I like grabbing tiles and then optimizing my score amongst those tiles. Make a game like that, I'm definitely going to like it, or almost definitely going to like it. The only question is how much. We have Logic and Lore Divergence, an expansion for Logic and Lore. I thought it was fine. I love Logic and Lore. The expansion was fine. It added like a few modules. I don't think it's a must-have expansion. It was a nice expansion. Although, fun fact, I didn't respond to the comment yet. I need to do that. I believe I said quality of life expansion about Logic and Lore Divergence. I said something about quality of life. And somebody commented, which I thought was interesting. This is not an attack on the commenter. This is me curious. Someone commented that they found that term a little offensive because that's usually used in terms of health-related things, whether it's old, whether you're sick. Quality of life is usually used in that terms, and they felt it was inappropriate to use it as a board game. And I don't know if I have that impression. Like, I obviously do know it's used in medical terminology, but I've heard it used in so many contexts that I wonder if I'm just wrong, or I wonder if they're just wrong. And I am curious on your take on that. This is not about attacking anyone. This is about figuring out, we all have blind spots in life, and I'm curious in this context which one of us has the blind spot, because if I'm the one with the blind spot, I definitely want to remove that terminology from when I talk about board games. That is basically that. Then we had Pondscape, a review for Pondscape from Capstone Games. I enjoyed it. Going back to like trying to combine things, I gave that a 4 out of 5. I do not think I'm keeping it. In fact, I know I'm not, because I did my games added and leaving the collection, but I like Pondscape. I went back and forth on it, and then I decided not to add it to my collection, only because I have that 200 hard limit, and I was like, I'm not getting rid of anything for it, even though I want to add it. We have Children of Morta. I like Children of Morta. I gave a review for that one, but the problem is Children of Morta started off stronger and then kind of got a little less fun as I played. It's a delicate balance to get right, but Children of Morta was an enjoyable system, but the problem is you leveled up too quickly. The tokens have a huge component problem. They're just too small to be able to handle, and the game got a little too easy too fast. So overall, I really enjoyed it at first and enjoyed it less as I've gone on. Honestly, I feel it's been happening to me a lot in games recently, not in general in life. Generally, I would say if I looked back on, I don't know, the last 5 years, I would say 90 to 95% of the time, my initial impression and score of a game after one play usually holds up, 3, 4, 5 plays later. 95% of the time, maybe 90. Recently, maybe just the past few months, I feel there's been a lot of games where I played it once, was excited about it, hyped about it to some extent. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun, I'm really enjoying this. And then I keep playing it, and I'm like, you know what? Kind of goes down quickly for me. That's been happening recently to me with a lot of games, and I don't love it, especially because I have a habit of talking about the things I've played on any of these videos. I'll be like, hey, by the way, this week, like later in this video, I'll be telling you a bunch of games I played. Are they games that will go down as I play them more? I don't know. I don't love that, because the review comes later, but I still don't love being like, guys, I just played Children of Morta at PAX Unplugged, and it was pretty good. And then like a month and a half later, I'm like, guys, Children of Morta is like, it is good, but like it's not as good as when I first played it. I don't love that, because people might buy things based on the in-between. Now, I always caveat, one play does not a review make, but nonetheless, like, I still don't love it. I'm not going to change in this context, by the way, because the only option to change there is to not talk about things at all until I've gotten multiple plays in, and I feel I don't love doing a review that my mind changes on, but I feel comfortable just telling you about my experiences on that progressive path with the disclaimers in place. Like, if you want to buy something based on the one play that I have when I told you it's one play, that is your risk. But I still feel bad about it, but I just don't feel that not talking about things is the better choice. Anyways, Children of Morta, this might make Children of Morta sound like a terrible game. It's a 3.5 out of 5. I just would have given it a 4 based on my first play easily, and it went down. It went down a little bit. Then we had another 6 Small Box Games video. We had First Class Letters. We had Ingenious Travel Edition, Danger the Game. It's a my kids liked it. I do not like it. Ocelot's Cave, Please Don't Burn My Village, and Paper World. All decent games. I actually filmed this a long time ago. It's there's lots of videos that are in the vault, and they show up at different points in time. But Paper World is probably my favorite from those. If I have to guess offhand, from like I think Paper World was my favorite. I enjoyed that one. They're all mostly decent with pros and cons. You can check that for my full thoughts on all of them. And then lastly, I did a review for Ichor. Is it Ichor or Ichor? Whichever one it is from Bitewing Games, which I thought was fine. Had some things I liked about it, but Bitewing Games has some games that I really enjoy and some games that are not quite as much for me. Ichor was more in the middle for me. Anyways, those are the games I've covered this past week, which brings us to the games I've played. In general, I cover a few games that I've played this week, not a comprehensive list by any means, but just some of the games. We have Labyrinth Chronicles. This one, I've already played it like 5 times so far. You'll see my thoughts and opinions at some point soon, but I plan on continuing to play it and then being able to give you a review of it. My initial instincts of Labyrinth Chronicles is it's light and not challenging enough, but I'm having fun with it so far. Like, I'm enjoying it. This is one of those games that I am wrestling where the rating goes on this one, because I'm wrestling on the rating. We'll see where it ends up. I'm enjoying it. I sat down and played it for like 4 hours straight and got, maybe it's like, am I 5 games in, more games in? I played it for like 4 hours straight. It's kind of fun. It's a little addicting, but I don't know if it's a great game. It's just a fun game to play. But we'll talk more about that at some point. We have Ghosts Galore, which I covered over here. This one I actually already filmed a review for, but it'll go up at some point. It might be 3 days from now, it might be 3 weeks from now. They're all over the place. But Ghosts Galore, I played it a bunch. I played it at PAX Unplugged, actually. Then I played it on BoardGameArena. I played it more in person. I played it solo. I'm developing a solo mode for it just because I want to. No reason. I don't really develop solo modes for things I play. This time I happened to do so, and I really like the game. I don't think it's the best game ever, but I am charmed by it, and I'm charmed by it enough that I made a solo mode to be able to play it, and I really like the solo mode. I think it captures the feeling of the game pretty decently. I'm kind of proud of it. I am curious on your thoughts, especially if you are someone who likes Ghosts Galore. Also, we'll see. I might be iterating it still. I'm still playtesting the scenario aspect of the solo mode, although every play still goes towards, do I tweak the general rule structure? Anyways, that's Ghosts Galore. I played Tiwanuku this week. Tiwanuku is always a great game. I do wonder, I think Tiwanuku might leave at some point. Specifically, I think Core of Discovery has become my favorite deductive game, kind of. I still enjoy Tiwanuku, but when I'm thinking of that 200 limit, I always, nowadays, whenever I'm thinking of my games, I constantly, whenever I play them, I'm always like, where are you? Are you one of the games that's going to leave to make room for something new, or are you one of the games that's going to stay? And I love Tiwanuku. I really do. But I think Core of Discovery kind of scratches that deductive itch for me, and Tiwanuku is also available on BoardGameArena, which factors into my decision. Speaking of BoardGameArena, I played Dewan. I played Dewan twice this week. I don't think I love it. I think it's okay. I don't, like, I'm not sure if it's a well-liked game or not. I think it's a totally fine game, and nothing about it really impressed me, and I played it again to make sure I felt that way, and I did feel that way. It's fine. I would play it on BoardGameArena. I just don't think I'd play it outside of BoardGameArena or feel the need to play it. As far as the videos, as far as today we should have a few things going up. Speaking of Labyrinth, we're going to have a Labyrinth unboxing going up today, as well as a preview for Cyberpunk Cities of Rome or Streets of Rome. Next week we're going to have a series of videos going up. We're going to have 15 games from 2024 I want to play, 10 BoardGameArena games I want to play, and 10 expansions I want to play going up on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're basically covering the games the challenges I've set for myself to play this year. I've already managed to play some of them, but when I filmed these videos I had played none of them, but then I aggressively got to it. I'll be diving into a few videos like this. This is part of my, like, the 15 games of 2024 I still want to play, or is it 2023? No, it's 2024. It's always 2 years back. This is a series I do where I take a look at 2 years back, so a bunch of things from 2024, and I will have more videos in that series coming in future weeks as well. As far as the games on the shelf. These are some of the games I hope to be playing this week. We have Gateway, which is launching in like a week and a half or so. We have Brass Pittsburgh, launching in like 2.5 weeks. We have Burgle Bros 3, which I've played Burgle Bros, but I have not played Burgle Bros 3, and I'm curious whether it makes the game. I'm curious what it does. I'm curious what it does to the game, but I am already in the middle of the rules. Hope to be playing this today. And then we have Cats Knocking Things Off Ledges, which, is that a sticker? No, it's not a sticker. It's the tape on the side of the box. Cats Knocking Things Off Ledges. This is from the op, and it's a game about, as you might imagine, cats knocking things off ledges, which I already read the rules for. It seems simple, straightforward. Hope to play it. I don't imagine it's a keeper, but my kids might change my mind on that. We'll see. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an excellent week, and as always, I hope you have a good one.